Hey, welcome back to the Board Game Closet. My name's Jimmy.
I'm Tim.
I'm Rod.
And today we're going to take a look at RoboRally. This version that I have is put out by Avalon Hill, plays 1 to 8 people, I think, in roughly a long time.
Yes.
I think it's 2 to 8, not 1 to 8.
Oh, 2 to 8, sorry. You play against yourself. All right, so let's take a look and see what you get in the box. All right, so this is a closer look at it. Rod, do you want to talk about the components that come with this version?
Sure. So first of all, it's RoboRally, so it's a game in which you have these robots, and each person gets one robot. And what they'll be doing is they'll be programming these robots to move. And how you'll do that is you'll have cards. As you can see, there's these cards with some arrows and different things. And the cards themselves, quality of the stock's good. Just like, I mean, they're nothing too thick, nothing too thin, so they're going to hold up fine. The pieces for the robots are pretty neat. I think they'll hold up fine. And the little actual pieces of artwork on them are all right. And then what you get is you get a bunch of tokens. These tokens are for different reasons you have these tokens, but all in all, they're pretty thin when it comes to the cardboard.
Everything's kind of thin.
Each one of the character cards, which is, as you can see, that spin bot that he has there, very thin. And the same here when it comes to the board itself.
This one's a little thicker, but it's still pretty thin.
Sure. So when it comes to the cards, fine. Comes to the game pieces themselves are fine. They look like they're really heavy. They're not. They're just plastic. These little clear things are for the flagging the little base series that we have to go to. Hopefully they'll hold up. I mean, they might be, but they're pretty neat. And the graphics are fine for what the game is. So my only complaint comes down to when it comes down to the cardboard for the tokens and for the board and for your actual pieces there.
All right, so let's talk about the instruction booklet here. This is the rule book. It does a good job in having pictures and whatnot to go along with what it's talking about, which I'm always harping on to make sure that you should always have, for those first-time players, pictures that show you what the actual instruction book is talking about. It does a good job of, sectioning everything out so that you know where to go and whatnot. And it has a course manual here. So these are just the instructions, and then this is the course manual on how to build the courses. So you can see the instructions aren't very thick, but they are a bit confusing for the first-time players. If you've never played a game like this, they could have organized it a little bit better, had a different step-by-step in there to like more of a tutorial to take people through this. As it was the first time we went through it, it was a bit confusing. But then once you start playing, it just makes sense. So it kind of confused me why the instruction booklets are so complicated. When you start playing the game, it's not that complicated of a game. So that's the instruction booklet for you.
To get things started, you're going to take your guy, and each person is going to get a placard here that basically just has 5 slots where you're going to program out your cards, and then it's got damage tokens, I guess, on there, and then there's life tokens, so you could play where if you die 3 times, then the game's over for you, and then there's a power down slot. So basically, this is a pre-programming game. You're going to get some cards that have different moves: left, turn right, go forward, go backwards, U-turn, stuff like that. And so then you're just going to pre-plan what you're going to do, and you lay all of those out, and then all at the same time you're going to flip your card, and then you're going to be able to take your move. And so you go through an order basically on who goes, or everybody moves based off of each turn, and then after everybody moves, then the board is going to move. So there's conveyor belts in this, there's laser beams, there's rotating sections, all of those kinds of things in the game. So basically everybody takes their turn, and then the board moves, then lasers shoot, things turn, and then it's basically your robot is just on a factory floor and it's just doing all these crazy things. The point of the game is to go across these flags. So they'll have flags out on the board, maybe 1, 2, 3, I guess they've got up to 8 or so flags that you can go across. And the point is you need to end your turn on top of one of these flags. If you do, then you've reached a point, and so basically you can drop your marker down there, and so you can restart there if you die or if something happens to you, then you can restart on that point instead of having to start back here. And then the goal is just to go across each one of these. The first person to do that wins the game. So it sounds pretty easy. Plan out your turn and then go. It doesn't work out that way at all. This is a chaos game. This would actually be a good party game because you think it's fun and you think you got it, and then your great plan just completely falls apart.
Right.
Because you think you got it right, and then you're like, oh, I meant to turn left instead of right. It's too late. And then the rest of your turns are totally messed up, all because you messed up number one.
Right.
And then the other thing happens where if two robots collide, then one robot can push you, which means they could push you onto a conveyor belt, which then would take you down, which means the rest of your moves are totally messed up, things like that. It's just funny how you think you have a great plan, and then your great plan just totally gets messed up based off of your stupidity or because somebody else did something to mess you up. So.
And then as you get damaged, you end up having to keep the cards that you already had. So you may have so it depends on your last moves, they lock shit to those moves.
Yeah.
So it ends up that you have to do those moves, so then it becomes very difficult. So there's a lot to the game. There's a ton to the game.
Yeah, it's so funny because if you get damaged too much, then this card is stuck. So like right here, U-turn. My last move every turn from then on would be a U-turn until I blow up, And so that's really funny.
And you do get to use the tokens like to save your spot too on the flag.
Yeah.
Or if you want just back where you're at, so that when you respawn, you actually respawn at a flag instead of going all the way back to your original starting point.
Which could help you actually, because if one is close to number two, instead of having to start back here, you respawn over here, and now you're just one move away, which is still difficult. But it is just funny how like just going from here to there, like our first game we played literally like I was number one, and all I had to do was go straight. That was all that I had to do, and I couldn't do it. It was just so hard.
You gotta remember what limits you is the fact that you only have a certain amount of cards, and you have to play a portion of those cards.
Right.
So he at that time probably didn't end up with all straights, and he had to turn. So he tried to do a box and everything else, and it's got some neat aspects, that's for sure.
So a couple of the spaces on the board, they have tool spaces that can remove damage that you've got, and then they have another spot that can give you these special powers. And so they've got a whole deck of cards here of special things that you could do that you're not normally allowed to do. So that's kind of cool, add some flavor to the game. I'm trying to think what else is interesting about the game.
Well, each guy has a laser, right? So he's shooting at. So at the end of the turn, we're figuring out who he shot and didn't shoot. And so there's actually a combat part of the game itself too.
Yeah. So if you get right in some guy's way, he could just keep shooting you. And you're like, I got to get out of here, but I don't have the cards, and it's so annoying.
Yeah.
So that's our review of RoboRally. At the end of our reviews, we like to give a 1-die rating. Should you buy it, play it, or hate it? So green means go buy this game and add it to your collection. White means maybe you wouldn't buy it, but you definitely play it. And then red means you won't buy it and you won't play it because you hate it. So everybody gets their choices there. And reveal. Red, green, green. Okay, so you hated the game. Tell us why.
It was very confusing to start off with. A game this simple should not be confusing. I bet if they rewrote the rules and made it a lot more understandable, it would just be more enjoyable out of the gate. Also, some of the pieces don't make sense. Like they should have had a flag token or something on your board. Even a slider across the top to show you what flag number you're on, because the turns do take a little while, because you have to, everybody flips their first card, and then everybody takes a turn, and then everybody flips their second card, and then everybody takes their turn, and then
so one round,
yeah. So you're not even done with the whole turn because you have to go through all 5 cards, and so like all that, and then you got to remember because on the starter it's 3 flags, but it can go up to like 8 flags. And I'm like,
crazy.
That's ridiculous.
It is crazy.
So we were just trying to keep track of them with like little life tokens. Like, oh, I got 1 flag, 2 flags. But then you're supposed to have the life tokens on here and then lose them as you blow up and stuff. And then some people suggest not using the life tokens. But still, for me, having sliders and stuff like that, the game was just it's kind of dragging after a while because chaos is fun for a little while. This game should be over a lot faster than it is, especially when you get up to the more number of players, like 8 players, 8 flags. Just ridiculous.
I couldn't imagine playing that many.
Yeah, so that's what I think. That's why I gave it a red.
Yeah, I liked it enough that I would definitely play it, and I would recommend buying it. I think this is an older game that they have redone and redone. I think it's been put out by 3 or 4 different companies, and they keep redoing it. And so, but the negatives to this is I didn't really like the components with this. I wish I could see somebody else's version of this game to see how it was different. This one isn't necessarily my favorite version, but I still say buy this game. Whichever version is the best one, I don't know, but buy this game because of that pre-programmed kind of craziness. I don't know why, I just like it. I like playing it out and then seeing how you get so mad at people and then you get so mad at yourself because you think I wouldn't play with, I mean, they suggest you play with like multiple. I could not imagine trying to go from here and then go through all of this to try to get a flag and then go back across. Like, that sounds crazy. I would just keep it simple, keep it one board at the most, a few flags, like you're saying, because if it's too much, it would drag out forever. You would end up hating this game, and I don't want you to do that. So just keep it simple and make it that instead of trying to make it too much.
So, with the exceptions of 2 minor flaws being the pieces themselves, these how thin the cardboard is, and the instructions being a little bit confusing, and then I would have to add a third would be the fact that maybe we're not keeping tabs correctly with where we're at, what we're trying to get. It makes it hard with what we have. But I think the game's outstanding. I mean, I think the price point's great.
It is.
I think that anybody would like to play this, from gamers that are more like us who would like games that are a little more into it, to my wife would probably play this and enjoy this game. And the mass confusion is great. And then I guess I have to actually add a 4th negative, but I guess the time. You're right about that because I mean, like most people's spouses, I found that after 2 hours, they're probably like, I'm done. I'm out of here. But personally, I just enjoyed it all. I mean, I thought it was just great. I love the confusion. That was part of my strategy, is I wanted them to get into the confusion part. I wanted to be, go around the outside. But I love the game. I think it's a great game.
This is weird. Played. He was just up in this corner.
Just doing like circles.
Several rounds.
There was a rule dispute. There's many things going on, but it was an awesome game.
Yeah.
And the more people, the merrier.
I think so.
The tiles, I would keep it down to a minimum, but I say 8 players, get them on there. That'd be fun.
Yeah, 8 players on this one board would be awesome.
Crazy.
Everybody's killing everybody.
Yeah.
I think the more people you have, the less flags you should have.
I agree.
So, I mean, 8 people, the max should be 3 flags.
Oh, yeah.
And 2 flags would make it faster, more fun, more frenetic kind of game. So,
yeah, probably 3 would be good, yeah. But, okay.
All right.
Well, that's our review of RoboRally. We've got a lot more reviews on our website, boardgamecloset.com. Check us out on Facebook, Instagram. We're on Periscope now. Did you know that?
Oh, awesome.
And
I don't know what Periscope is.
we're on all of them. So
we're out there.
anyways, thanks for watching our review. Subscribe to our channel and like this video. So,
And like always, support your local board game cafe.
okay, we got some favorite videos we want you to watch. So what's your favorite video?
Mine's going to be Armada versus X-Wing, because my opinion was right. The others were wrong. But anyway, that's my favorite video.
Legends of Andor, check it out. We all love that game.
That's a great
so check it out, Legends of Andor.
of course, click this, my favorite video. Click it right here.
I'm going to put my Catan video.
I love Catan stickers.
Okay. That's what you get for not picking one.
Exactly.
I couldn't think of one.